Hi guys, and welcome back to the Big Sew Along. I'm Ginny, and as always, I thank you very much for choosing to spend some time with me. This week, I am talking some more about the Inca pants that I kind of reviewed last week. I'll show a picture of you. I'll show you a picture here of me in these pants from last week. And my complaint was that there's just too much volume between the legs. Now, a lot of people commented about different variations. Remarkably, most people actually agreed with me that they just too much volume for me. Some people said they loved them the way they were, and a couple of people said I needed to shorten them. I think in order for these pants to work, I definitely did need to shorten them, and not from the waist. I can't remember now. I'm gonna look and see if I can find it. It's okay. One of you guys recommended that I shorten them according to the pattern, which means that you shorten the leg portion, not the yoke, and I do think that is 100% correct. Shortening the yoke just makes those pockets rise up and be at a wider part of your body, which just doesn't do much good. I mean, it worked, but it wasn't the most flattering option. Anyways, because I had already made these, that's what I chose to do. I think I could shorten them according to the pattern. However, that would still mean that the width between the legs would be the same. So I measured it. For me, a stride is about, a wide stride for me is about, when I'm walking, is about 24 inches. This pattern, the distance between the two leg holes in this pattern is twice that. So you could reasonably reduce that width by half and still have plenty of room to walk. I don't know how much that would alter the design or the overall aesthetic of the pattern. I may try that. I didn't really think about a way to do that until this morning, right before I started recording this video. But I do think that that is an option, and I think I might make a muslin doing that and see how it turns out, which I will show you guys in a future video. For today, however, what I ended up doing was remaking the Inca pants that I had. I used my Berta pattern. One second, I'll tell you which one it is. Whenever I do a video for you guys, I try to have all the things I need set up, and I always forgot one. The Berta pattern that I used was 7546. It looks like this. I did this a while back in a blend. It's a wool blend. I think it was a wool cotton blend. If I can find that video for you guys, I will link it below. I did make a couple of alterations to this pattern. Originally, it's supposed to have a drawstring waist and elastic around the ankles. I put elastic around the waist and did nothing at the ankles. In the my original make of this, I did lengthen the legs like 2 inches. I didn't have room for that this time. I did record how I altered this, how I laid this out to remake them, and I'll show you guys that right now. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. These are my Inca pants. You can see here, so far all I have done is removed the yoke at the top. I removed the whole thing, elastic and everything, and then down here at the bottom on each leg I removed my my hem facings. I did want to point out that I was remiss last week when I talked about these. It says it has a 1/4 inch seam allowance or hem allowance here at the bottom, but I misread, or I just didn't read, that you're actually supposed to put a 1.5 inch bias binding around there. So that was my mistake. But anyways, I removed that. I removed my waist. Now I'm going to turn this sideways because you can see these sides are both the same. This is my front side. So I'm going to turn it around like this. I'm going to get this side out of the way a little bit. On both sides, this line of pins here, this side panel is one panel. It's pretty much even all the way down. So I lined it up and I pinned it together so it's laying flat and even. It's even on the front and the back. Now, I'm going to get that to lay as flat as I can. It's a little lumpy here because of my pocket, but that's okay. I am going to take my new pattern, which is this one. This is the front. This has a 5/8 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to put this on a fold. So I don't need that 5/8 inch seam allowance. I'm going to try to get this edge here, this fold, as straight as I can. That looks good. And then I'm going to put this down here like this, and I'm going to just lay it a little bit over that edge. It probably isn't exactly 5/8, but that's okay. I am going to match that up as best I can. I can see here that it's going to go off the top of my fabric a little bit, and I think that's okay. I do have a waistband to put on here that's a little bit bigger than the one originally intended for this pattern. So I'm just going to put a couple of weights down here. And I'm going to take my chalk and just trace that out. My hem on this comes right to the edge of the paper, and then this edge is off on its own. I'm just going to trace this right here. Essentially, we're just going to continue this straight edge across to the other line, but let's draw it out anyway. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm not adding pockets to the side of this because we have pockets in there, but I do want to mark this notch here. This is the pocket notch. I want to use that so I can match up my patterns on the other side. I'm not going to use chalk though because this is a white pant and it might not come out. So I'm going to mark with a pin right there. And I'm going to take a look at that, just like that. That's my new pattern piece. That's the front. And now I'm going to move this over and do the exact same thing on the other front. Okay, so that is both of my fronts traced out, one there, one there. And I'm just going to flip this over. To the back side. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I know that the front pant leg match pretty much right up here at the hem, so I'm going to place that there for my back piece as well. And then I am going to check, I know the waist is going to be off, so I'm going to check here. Remember where I put that pin? It's right here, so I just want to be sure that this is meeting at that same pin, that this notch here, right here, is meeting at that pin. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So now, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to trace these lines out. All right, now I'm just going to flip this over and do the other side. Okay, so that's all traced out. Before I take this away, you can see here, I hope you guys can see here, at the center back, my back piece only, my front piece seemed to be okay. It was off a little, but it'll be fine. This is off a little more. You can see my center back is an inch, it's like 1 1/8 shorter than my pattern piece. So I'm going to make a note of that. And then we'll see if we can't come up with a fix for that. Next, we're going to take our scissors And we're just gonna cut these out. I'm gonna cut through one layer only. This is the back, obviously. I'm gonna go in between here. I'm just gonna flip this over. And I'm going to keep cutting, making sure I'm just cutting one layer. I want to get all that other stuff out of the way so I don't accidentally cut it. In fact, I'm going to take these pins out now. Alright, let's move on to the other leg. Okay, so we're all cut out, and this is what our pants are going to look like eventually. You guys can see that okay, but remember I have a little problem here at the center back. I'm going to add 1.5 inches. So for just to remind myself, I think I serged off my waistband, so I cannot take a full 5/8 on this. Actually, this one only had 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So we better stick with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance for the waistband. And this is my back. I need to add about 1.5 inches here. I'm just going to trace around the top of my pants here. That should be good. Now I need to add 1.5 inches to this end. So I'm just going to line it up here, and that is going to be right there. And I want it to taper to nothing over here. So I'm just going to put it just like this. Oops. Like that. Then I need to add my seam allowance to this side, which is right there. You said that's 3/8 of an inch all the way across. And then I need to add 3/8 up here at this edge too. Whoops. Now, this one has, the side seam here is the border pattern, and it has a 5/8 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to take the 5/8 inch off of this, of the inner edge. And we're going to cut that on the fold right there. Okay, I hope that makes sense. We're just adding a little wedge to the center back. So let's see what kind of fabric we have left here. This is the center crotch piece that I cut out, and I have plenty here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I'm just going to put little notches here at the center back so I know where I'm when I'm putting it together. Okay, so normally what I would do is just sew these center seams together, and sew these short little inseams together, and then put my pant legs inside each other and sew the crotch seam. However, since I have this little back yoke piece I need to put on, I started by sewing the center back seam first. And now I'm going to put this yoke on at the center. I don't have any notches on my pants, so I'm just going to put this on here and then measure to make sure it's the same on both sides. And I can see it by folding in half that that is pretty even on both sides. So once I get that sewn on and serged, I can go ahead and sew the center front seam and the crotch seam, and then just do the waistband and hem as per the original instructions. Okay, so that is my remake of the Inca pants. I am happier with it. First, the leg on this one came out a little whiter than my first Berta pant, and I suspect that that is because this particular fabric, which is, like I said last week, it's a linen rayon blend, just has a lot of give. The original fabric I used for that did not. So I suspect that is why my leg openings came out wider this time. I don't really mind that. I think it's fine. This is the second time I've used this pattern. Doing it this way did mean that my pockets are right at the waist, and I did not change the pockets from the original Inca. So they are, see if I can get here so you can see. The pockets are like here. Because the elastic is flatter, that pocket tends to lay a little flatter, and I think it's okay. It would not be my first choice. But I do like these better. Like I said, I'm not giving up on this Inca pattern because I think I can alter the pattern a little bit and make a pair of pants that I really like, which I'm hoping works out because I have the perfect fabric for those. Okay, so anyways, thank you everyone for all of your comments. I really appreciated the comments about the Incas, and I got a lot of good information from you guys. So thank you very much. The next thing I want to talk about this week is the new Brigida Helmerson book that came out. I ordered this probably, I'm going to say February or March. It's called Zero Waste Patterns. I was really excited to get this. It does have a couple of things. It has essentially 4 blocks in it. One is what she's calling a tee. It's a woven fabric. I suppose you could make it out of a knit, but the version she has in here is a woven. And then there is what's the next one? The trousers. I don't think I have a picture of the trousers, but they're an elastic waist, wider leg pant. Then there is what she calls a singlet. Honestly, here in the U.S., I think most people just call this a tank, but I know in a lot of European countries, they call this a singlet. It's like a spaghetti strap little tank top. She also has a skirt, which is either like a sort of an A-line, a plain A-line, or a tiered skirt. And then there is a shirt. In addition to that, she has a few variants. So I think that's the t-shirt she uses to make a collared dress and a sweater and a wrap top. She combines that with the pants to make a boiler suit. And she makes the pants into shorts. And a play suit, which is the pants plus the singlet or tank. And a sundress, which is again the singlet. And a patchwork singlet. And a slip dress out of the singlet. And what else? Yeah, it's a triangle skirt. The tiered skirt is also a triangle skirt. Sorry, triangle skirt. And then there's a gathered shirt dress, which is you use the shirt pattern for, and just a plain shirt dress. Obviously the same shirt pattern. And a vintage shirt. Now, and a quilted jacket. Anyways, if you have been aware of Brigida Helmerson and you've looked at her website, you will see a lot of her patterns are very similar to the ones in this book. If you like her things, I recommend this. I think that this is a really good book. There are no patterns. These are all zero waste patterns that you draw out on your fabric. There are a few templates at the back for things like necklines and facings and things like that, but not very many. It's just a few. Yeah, and there's some, looks like there are a couple of templates at the front as well. All right, anyways, so it's been a while since I have purchased a sewing book, and I was really excited to get this one. It came, I think it came late last week. So, okay, that I think is it for me this week, you guys. I was going to do the Matchy Matchy dress today. Matchy Matchy Sewing Club, the collage gather top. I am almost finished with that, and I will have that for you next week. All right, guys, until then, I thank you all for being here, and I wish you happy sewing.